There is nothing in the world so easy as giving an opinion. Consequently, in general, there are few things so utterly valueless. Charles William Day. In today's episode, I talk about the value of other people's opinions, how to build the confidence so those opinions don't wear you down, and when they do wear you down, how to get right back on track and get that confidence even stronger than it was to begin with. Welcome to the Empowered Mom Podcast. I'm Nina Pierce. I have a bachelor's in psychology, master's in education, and a doctorate in motherhood as a mom of 3. Each week, I will be sharing stories and tangible advice and inspiration to empower you. Today, I want to talk about the topic of other people's opinions. Now, if you're a Rachel Hollis fan, this is something that she talks about quite often, but I wanted to take it specifically to parenting and how we can be immune to letting other people's opinions second guess us, and then in an instant or a specific comment or when it comes from a certain source, all of a sudden, all the work we've done to build up that immunity can just kind of crumble. So today I want to talk about other people's opinions as far as parenting goes, share a little bit of my experience, how I built up that guard and that security when it does come to parenting, and how I lost all of that security recently, and what I needed to do to remind myself to build it back up and not let it bother me. So when I first became a parent, I was super, super young. I was naive. I had no clue what I was doing. But I looked on the outside and got this picture of what I thought parenting needed to look like and what a good parent had to do. So this was before social media was crazy. Thank goodness, because I know as a new mother now, with social media, it can just be the most defeating thing. We can have all these false expectations and think we need to do it this way and that way and just completely be defeated before, our babies are even a week old. And as far as just like the products that you have to have and the expense of this and the expense of that in comparison, it can just get crazy. But so often we build these expectations up, and they're these false expectations that we create for ourselves of what we think we have to do and what we think we need to have and what parenting looks like. And it just makes us act in survival mode and really sets ourselves up for failure. So there's that whole aspect of it. But then there comes the part where it truly is like other people's opinions, whether it's somebody voicing something on social media to the masses and you just read it and you really take it to heart, whether it's a friend or family or even a stranger. So many people love to share their opinions. And just because it's someone else's opinion doesn't mean that it's right or wrong or there's any factual basis to any of it. Opinions are opinions. They're not facts. There's no science backing it. And when it comes to parenting, I think parenting is based 100% on opinions. There is not one book out there that is a manual of how to parent the correct way or incorrect way. If you have multiple children, the way you parent one child does not work for how you parent every single child you have. So parenting is not one size fits all, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. So what works for one family is awesome, but when they start passing their opinions on to other people and start telling you what you're doing right or wrong, it can be super, super defeating, and we have to take a step back and we have to understand that might not work for us, or the reason we're doing it a certain way is because it does work for us, or it matches our values and our morals and the big picture of what we are working for as a parent and as a family. So just like anything else, we have all of this baggage that we take into parenting. We have the way we were brought up, the way we were parented. We have this idea that we're never going to do it the same way as our parents did it. And we also have the social media presence and just media in general. And we're seeing like the right way to parent or the expectations of parenting. But we have to take a step back and we need to truly look at our values and think about what we want for our kids. Now, like I said, it's not one size fits all. So it's really about what do you want to teach your kids? How do you want to raise them? And what are your beliefs? And what do you want them to take into the world when they leave? And if you can strongly believe in this, then you build this confidence. And it really doesn't matter what other people are doing. It matters what you're doing. And when you see somebody else doing it a different way, you're not going to pass your opinion on them because you feel confident in the way you do it. So you're not passing judgment and you're not sharing opinions with others because you're confident in what you're doing. And it really, this sounds horrible to say, but it really doesn't matter what the kids next door to you are doing or how they're being raised. Yes, big picture, we want every child to be loving, to be respectful, and to just be like a good person. And we hope that in time, everybody is a good person. But the world we live in, we are all sorts of different people. And some people are good, some people aren't. But at the end of the day, the only people we can control, and I say control lightly, the only people we can lead, the only people we can be a role model for, and the only people that we can truly teach are the kids that live in our house. And when you recognize that, and when you think of what you want them to leave your house with, and the type of person that you want them to be, then you build up this confidence, and you become really secure in the way that you parent. And when you have that confidence and that security, it really doesn't matter what other people say. You know, they should be wearing this, they shouldn't be wearing that, they should be doing this, they shouldn't be doing that. Like, you know who you want your kids to become, you know who they are becoming, and you're confident in all of that. So other people's opinions really don't matter. One of my favorite quotes that I heard from one of my mentors is, "What he eats does not make you poop." And it's that constant comparison. And really, comparison is the same thing as passing judgment. Like, I do it this way, so you should do it this way. Or, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're doing it that way. You need to be doing it this way. And you pass those opinions because you're comparing one way or one expectation to another way. But when you realize that the way your neighbors parent their kids don't impact the way you parent your kids, that opinion really doesn't hold any weight on who you are, who your kids are, or who they're growing to be, or what your values are in general. So you have to be super, super secure and build that confidence. And you're the only one that can do it. And the only way that you can build that confidence is getting clear on the type of parent you want to be and the values that you want your kids to leave the house with. And again, there's no right or wrong way. I can share my parenting values with you, but we're not the same parent. We're not raising the same kids. And like I said, I mean, even just with my 3 kids, like, we have all the same general values, but the way I parent each of them is very different. I'm harder on one than I am on the other because of how they respond to me, their personalities in general, and just their goals and what they want out of life and in who they are, their age, all of that. Like, the way we parent a 8-year-old is not the same as we parent a 14-year-old. And I hear it all the time from my 14-year-old. That's not fair. Tate gets this, Tate gets that. Why doesn't Tate have to do that? And then I take a step back and I talk about how privileges are different at 14, how freedom is different at 14, and how at 8, Ella didn't have those privileges. Ella didn't have those same expectations. So it's not black and white, and that's the first thing we have to accept. And then we just have to understand that we are doing it this way for a reason and because we believe in it. And you just have that confidence. And 9 out of 10 times, reminding yourself of that confidence, of the vision, of the people that your kids are growing to be, the impact that you have on that growth for them, it's going to be enough. So when somebody passes an opinion, it's not really going to matter. But every once in a while, somebody is going to say something that is just going to be the perfect thing and hit you in the right place, and it's going to put you on this downward spiral. And with it being the holiday season, it can happen more often than any other time of the year. So that recently happened to me. When it comes to parenting, I am super, super confident in our values and the way I parent my kids. And I'm also incredibly proud of who my kids are. They're nowhere near perfect. And if they were to live in somebody else's house, you may not think, you might not be proud of who they are. But I am extremely proud of who they are on the inside and out and who they're becoming. And just the discipline and the drive and the passion and purpose that each of them lives with every single day. But to other people, they might not have those same, visions that we have as a family. And it usually doesn't bother me because I am so confident in my parenting. I'm confident in our family, and I'm just so proud of who my kids are becoming. So if somebody passes an opinion like, making fun of the way we eat, or, talking about the activities or the fact that we drive so far for soccer, or, our involvement in sports and, all of that, I usually could care less about what other people think, because I usually look at them, I see how they're living their lives, and I realize that our values are different. Not that our life is better than theirs, but our values are different. Like somebody who does not have their kids in sports is never going to understand why we drive an hour and a half one way for practice. Their values just aren't there. And I might not understand why somebody's so into music or the arts, because as a family, that's just not part of our culture and who we are. So I'm not going to pass an opinion about that because I don't know anything about it. Like, I don't have any facts about that. Like, I don't have that experience. It's not part of our life. So I'm not going to pass opinion on that. But I also understand that the human culture and people love to pass opinions on others. So when they do that, it usually doesn't bother me. But with it being the holiday season, you're with different people. You're in different environments. There's certain people that can just get under your skin. There's certain people that know how to say exactly the right thing to you or the wrong thing to you that just drives you crazy. So I started doubting my parenting. And it's really bad when it's not just me, second guessing our parenting, but it's also my husband Morgan second guessing our parenting and taking a step back as well. So recently, we shared Thanksgiving at the fire station, and the kids went. We were the only family that went, and my kids are pretty confident, just in comfortable in who they are wherever they are, which means they're not always on their best behavior. They're not quiet. They're not reserved. It was a long day. It was our second Thanksgiving. The kids were tired, off nutrition. So they're not the best version of themselves. And I completely understand that. And I'm not going to say that they represented themselves in the best way possible. But again, it's a 14-year-old, an 11-year-old, and an 8-year-old. So it is what it is. And the only thing I can do is lead by example and present myself in the best way possible. But after that day, we left, and one of the firefighters made a comment that Morgan and I were really hard on Ella. And he accepted it. Morgan accepted it and explained that we're hard on her because of what her goals are and what her vision is and what her life plan is. So as parents, it's our job to support her dreams. And when her dreams are as amazing and crazy as hers, then it's going to require us to parent her in a hard way. Like, we have to be hard on her. And also because of Ella's personality, where she kind of lacks this confidence and second guesses herself, we need to always reel her in, and sometimes we joke around with her quite a bit to kind of take that edge off because she's super, super anxious. So joking around and taking that edge off will really help. So Morgan at first kind of brushed it off, but then he came home and he, started talking to me about it. And it made me start to think, like, are we hard on her? So I had a conversation with Ella, and I was like, are we that hard on you? Does it bother you? I don't even understand. And she's like, well, you treated me the same way at the fire station that you always treat me. And I said, okay, Elle, that's making me feel a lot better here. But what did we do? She's like, well, you guys always just joke around with me. And she's like, I tell you what my goals are, so you support me, and it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of discipline, so you guys are always just making sure I'm doing what I need to do. And I was like, okay, do we ride you too much? Dad joking around with you all the time and, taking the edge off like that, does that bother you? She's like, no, that's just who we are. That's how I, show up to my friends, and that's how I show up at school and in life too. And her saying that made me realize this whole conversation that I'm having with you. Those are our values and those are our personalities. And it's very different than the people next door or, classmates or peers. But that's what works for us. So it's hard for somebody else to pass an opinion on our parenting when this is what works for us. And, their kids are in a very, very different situation. So obviously this type of parenting isn't going to work for them. So after getting sidetracked for, a split second, or let's be honest, 24 hours, and having this conversation with Morgan and then having this conversation with Ella, it kind of all came full circle. And it brought me back to my confident parenting and belief in our values and us doing things the way we're doing, but it also gave me respect for other people. And I wasn't mad or defeated or even disappointed because it made me realize that we all are different. So here I am talking about the parenting aspect of this, but really in everything we do, when it comes to opinions, they really don't matter because we are all different people and we are all living different lives. So I think about myself, I was a teacher for 13 years, and the way I taught was so incredibly different than the way the teacher taught next door to me. And, having up to 30 kids in my class every year, there were some kids that responded to me so well, and there were other kids that absolutely hated me. Same thing with parents. Some parents loved my teaching, saw the impact I was making, and other teachers, did not believe in anything I was doing and did not, trust me as a teacher at all. And, it's the same thing in everything that we do. That's why you're friends with some people, and other people, they just drive you crazy. That's why some people, fill your cup up, and other people just, deplete all of the energy out of you. And it's why some people have respect for what you do for a living, the lifestyle that you have, and other people look down on it. We're all different people. And if we can be confident in who we are as people, then we're not going to get derailed when somebody passes an opinion on us. We're not going to make opinions and share opinions or have opinions on other people either, because we have this respect because we're confident in who we are, and so that forms into this respect for other people. So no longer are we comparing each other, comparing ourselves to others. we are just living our own lives, and we are loving others and respecting them for doing it their way and for living their own lives as well. So that's my message for today, is just kind of sharing this journey with all of you and how, there's no right or wrong way to do it. But the more confident we become in who we are, what we're doing, and why we're doing it, then the more belief we have in it, and the more discipline we have in it, and the more joy we have for what we're doing. So bringing it back, there's no right or wrong way. And when other people pass opinions onto you, don't let it derail you. Don't let it get to you. Just know that you're doing what you're doing for a specific reason, and meet them with love and respect them for doing it their own way, and understand that they have their own reasons for doing that as well.